Good day, scholars of English literature. And with my hair and beard, I'm feeling a bit scholarly, like an English literature professor. Oh yes, I had plenty of English literature professors in college, but they didn't look anything like this, and none of them smoked a pipe. However, most of them could put the cigarettes away like no one's business. However, today we are going to look at one of the great works of English literature, Emily Brontë's Wuthering Heights, which according to the cover, you can buy 2 for $1 at Walmart. Who said you can't put a price on great literature? Apparently you can buy it for 50 cents. So, grab yourself something to drink. I'm not sure what English professors drink. Scotch perhaps? I'm drinking Sunny Delight. Well, some of it's Sunny Delight. I believe there's a bit more delight in here than sunny. However, it will help inspire my creative thought. As for the spoiler alert, well, yeah, there's some spoilers in this report, but this book's been out since 1847. You should have already read it. Heck, the first movie came out in 1939, I think? Oh boy, that's on you. Talk about your bad love, obsession, or just plain puppy love gone wrong. Now we all know the epic tale of Wuthering Heights. Or, at least us English literature geeks do. Now our story begins as some dude named Lockwood drops by Wuthering Heights estate to pay his landlord a visit. Well, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, considering his landlord is Heathcliff, who isn't exactly a guy who you want to go party with. Yes, even though he tries to pass himself off as a gentleman, Heathcliff has always got that proverbial stick shoved up his ass. Now Lockwood meets up with Nellie, a servant who has been there since the beginning. And here our story is told. A story covering the cruel and obsessive tale of just how that stick got shoved up his ass and how far it's been shoved. Now Nellie tells how the former master of the Heights, Mr. Earnshaw, returned home one day with a present for his kiddos. Yes, some homeless gypsy beggar kid he's found wandering about and names him Heathcliff. Okay, not exactly what his son Henley wanted, but his daughter Catherine warms up quite nicely to her new adopted brother. Of course, when the old man dies, Henley becomes the master of the house and treats the homeless beggar kid like a homeless beggar kid. Of course, this makes Sister Catherine warm up to Heathcliff even more. Yes, sisterly love, or perhaps not. But Heathcliff's obsessive passion for his adopted sister tends to fly a bit off the charts, to the point of a Brady Bunch creepiness. Then things take a bit of an ugly turn when the young adopted sister, brother, teenage puppy love Greg and Marcia Brady couple wander down to another estate called the Grange the Gringe, or the Grange, there we go, to harass the richer and snobbier neighbors, the Lintons. Well, the Lintons warm up quite nicely to Catherine, especially their son Edgar. Yes, I'm guessing Catherine is quite the looker. And as for Heathcliff, well, they treat him like a homeless beggar kid. Do you see a pattern forming here? Yes, that stick is getting shoved right up Heathcliff's ass a little more and more every day. But he'll always have Catherine, right? The passionate, obsessive love of his life. Yeah? Well, he does until he hears her talking about marrying Edgar Linton. And speaking how marrying Heathcliff would be, well, like marrying a homeless beggar kid. So, in a fit of cruel, passionate, obsessive rage, Heathcliff hits the road. Hit the road, Jack. Now, with Heathcliff gone, Catherine marries Edgar Linton, because apparently he's the only guy she knows besides Heathcliff and her brother. We are in the country here after all. So just imagine you're overcome with a cruel, passionate obsession with the only person who has ever treated you halfway decent. And then she winds up marrying the resident rich boy snob while everyone else has treated you like a homeless beggar kid. You'll come back and show them, right? Well, that rarely ever happens. But lo and behold, it does happen here. Yes, Heathcliff returns as a regular badass. Now, if our story was set in today's times, Heathcliff would have roared up on some killer Harley Davidson. Or maybe a mint condition Chevelle, decked out in a leather jacket, tatted out to the max with plenty of bling. Heathcliff is ready to take that stick out of his ass and beat everyone senseless with it. Goodness. Oh yes. Now the first thing he does is he takes over his old household after Catherine's brother Henley Earnshaw has pretty much blown all his money after his wife dies. Then Henley dies, and Heathcliff not only takes over Henley's estate, but his young son Harrington, well, his son as well. And Heathcliff pretty much treats the boy like a homeless beggar kid. Then he charms Edgar Linton's sister into marrying him. Oh yeah, if Linton gets to enjoy the womanly fruits of Heathcliff's love, Catherine, then Heathcliff is going to take away Linton's sister, Isabella, because apparently she's into the homeless beggar gone rich, successful, bad boy, Heathcliff. Right? Okay. Probably not the girl's wisest move, but love is blind and pretty much stupid. Then Catherine has a daughter, and then our dear Catherine departs from the world, leaving Heathcliff to quote one of the most cruel, passionate, obsessive speeches in the realm of literary history. Haunt me, drive me mad if you must. Just don't leave me. Sometimes a romance and a creepiness run down a thin highway. Now to piss off everyone even more, regardless if they're dead or alive, Heathcliff winds up in possession of both Wuthering Heights and the Grunge. Wow. So, he's gotta be happy now. Nope. No Catherine. No happiness. Just more cruel, passionate obsession. Like the song says, love is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Whoa, that's pretty deep. Kind of creepy, but deep. Now our story is told through the accounts of Nellie Dean, who was a servant of both houses. I'm not really sure if this type of narrative is considered first person, second person, or third person. Is there a fourth person narrative? Oh, who cares? Whatever person it is, this type of narrative is coming from an observer, so we really don't get inside the mind of Heathcliff. Then again, do we really want to? Besides, wouldn't that kind of spoil the mystery of Heathcliff? Oh dear, I do feel like I'm back in one of my college English classes trying to impress my professor, or that voluptuous blonde that sat next to me. Anyway, to me personally, I felt this was a bit lacking for our story. Now, I would have liked to know what Heathcliff and Catherine might have been thinking when they were out frolicking around or lost in their own torturous existence. Wow! Now, didn't that sound all artsy-fartsy intellectual? Whoa! Yeah! That would have scored some points in my English class. Then again, I don't really think there was all that much mystery to Heathcliff. He was just really pissed off. He should have been drinking more of this. I'm rather jolly. There were times the narrative switched from Nellie to Mr. Lockwood, the guy to which she was telling her story. And at risk of losing my artsy-fartsy intellectual status, I must say there were a few times I couldn't tell who was telling who what. Oh dear. Now I'm really falling down in the literature status, but the truth must be told. Okay, for me, the writing style back in those olden days was a bit too literaturistic, if that's a word. Now I realize to some readers such a picturesque, synecdoche, metaphoric text is what makes Bronte's writing so captivating. However, all that picturesque, synecdoche, metaphoric stuff just seemed to confuse the bloody hell out of me. And I'm not even sure what the word synecdoche even means. I just thought it sounded cool, which kind of reminds me of Bronte's writing. Oh yes, it reads really cool in an English literature kind of way. But all I can say is that I'm glad I've seen the movie, so I knew what the heck was going on. most of the time. Also, I found Bronte's dialogue of the servant Joseph and Catherine's nephew nothing less than torturous. Yes. Okay, I get it. These guys speak in this uneducated, butchered brogue that's hardly comprehensible. And the fact that Heathcliff has beaten Cathy's nephew, Horton, down to the point where he speaks like some homeless beggar kid, even though by birthright he should be this highly educated gentleman and lord of the house, adds to the cruel obsession of Heathcliff's character. But give me a gosh darn break! I never had a clue what these guys were saying throughout the entire story. Well, thank goodness for the movie! And I'm not sure how to say that guy's name. Cathy's nephew, Harrington. Hillington. Harry. Enjoyment? The torturous agony of a love obsession that brings forth a lifetime of pain, distress, and eventually death to all of those involved. Come on! What's there not to enjoy? This is what soap operas should really be like. Now, at last count, there were 7 movies that have sprung from this yarn. My favorite being the 1992 movie starring Ray Fiennes. Actually, the first time I had ever heard of this book was from the 1978 Kate Bush song, Wuthering Heights. Now, I was out partying with some young lady one night, and somehow that song came up while I was trying to impress her with all of my artsy-fartsy charm. And she asked, "Have you ever read the book?" And I was like, book? I didn't know there was a book. So much for my English literature geek status, or impressing that girl. Yeah. So, if you're looking for a feel-good tale about true romance in the jolly times of old England, well, you might want to check out Pride and Prejudice. Because there's not too many jolly times in this story. However, if you're looking for something that covers, as the book cover states, cruel love, cruel passion, cruel obsession, well, here you go. Now, Kate Bush may have written the song Wuthering Heights about this story, but I think the J. Gow's band covered it much better with the song I Got the Blues, the reds and the pinks, but one thing for sure is love stinks. A story of cruel love, cruel passion, cruel obsession. Wuthering Heights. If you haven't already read this book and you want to get really depressed, go ahead and read it. Or better yet, watch one of the 7 movies. There might be a new one out. I don't know. It is kind of a cool book, and it's one of those books that people might ask you about someday. Hey, have you read Wuthering Heights? Isn't that a Kate Bush song? I don't know. I can't even pronounce the stupid character's name. Harrington Earnshaw. And was the Linton's place the Grange? LaGrange. That's a ZZ Top song. I don't have a guitar handy, or I'd play it for you. Anyway, Wuthering Heights. Go read a book. And if I ever become a English literature professor, I'm going to wear shorts and a t-shirt, because this is very uncomfortable.